There's a version of your project that's been almost done for 6 months. You know exactly what's wrong with it. You could list the flaws right now without even looking at it. Meanwhile, somebody less careful than you finished their version in a weekend. It's not great. It has typos. It's already 3 updates ahead of the one sitting in your head. That gap between you two isn't talent. It's the number of times you let something exist before it was ready. Perfectionism doesn't feel like a flaw from the inside. It feels responsible. You call it just wanting to do it right. But look at what it's actually costing you. The extra hour spent adjusting a font nobody will notice. The 3rd rewrite of a message that was already clear on the first try. Meanwhile, the people around you who don't overthink it are moving. They're applying before they feel ready. They're posting before it's perfect. They're not smarter than you. They've just accepted that good enough out in the world beats perfect still in your head. Over months, that difference compounds. They've applied to 20 jobs. You've perfected 1 resume. They've published 15 average videos. You've deleted 8 good ones because they weren't quite right. On paper, you're the more careful one. In practice, you're the one falling behind. Here's what's actually happening underneath. Perfectionism isn't really about quality. It's about fear of being seen as not good enough. Researchers Yosipov, Saklovsky, Smith, Flett, and Hewitt found in 2024 that perfectionists don't just fear failing at a task. They overgeneralize one flaw into proof that they, as a person, have failed. So one typo doesn't just mean fix the typo. It means everyone will think I'm careless. One awkward sentence doesn't mean revise the sentence. It means I'm not actually talented, and now people will know. That's not a quality standard. That's a threat response wearing the costume of quality control. This is why perfectionism and procrastination almost always show up together. If judgment feels like a threat to your worth as a person, delaying the moment of judgment feels like protection. So you don't skip the task because you're lazy. You stall it because as long as it's unfinished, it can't officially be judged yet. The problem is, this protection has an expiration date that never arrives. There's no version of ready enough waiting for you at the end of one more revision, because the fear was never really about the work. It was about you. And you can't polish your way out of a feeling. Here's the part that stings. By avoiding judgment, you're not preventing the outcome you're afraid of. You're guaranteeing a quieter version of it. Nobody rejects the resume you never sent, but nobody hires it either. Invisibility feels safer than criticism, right up until you realize invisibility is its own kind of loss. Compare that to the person who ships the messy version. Their first attempt gets criticized, sure, but criticism is information. It tells them exactly what to fix next time. They're not smarter, they just get feedback faster, and feedback is what actually makes anyone better at anything. You, on the other hand, are optimizing in a vacuum. You're guessing what's wrong with something nobody has actually seen yet. You can revise a draft in your head 100 times and still learn less than someone who posted it once and read the comments. This is the real gap between you and the people who seem to move faster. It's not confidence, it's not talent. It's what you could call quiet reps. All the small, unglamorous, imperfect attempts that pile up in someone's history, while yours pile up in a drafts folder instead. Quiet reps compound. 10 average attempts, each one slightly adjusted from feedback, will outperform one theoretically perfect attempt that never left your notes app. It's not even close. And the wildest part is, You already know this. You just haven't let yourself act on it. So here's the actual move. Not stop caring, not lower your standards. Shrink the gap between finishing something and letting it exist in the world. Give yourself a hardship deadline before you start, not after you're ready. Ready is a feeling. Deadlines are facts. Pick one thing you've been sitting on right now. Set a timer for 20 minutes. In that window, make only the changes that actually matter to someone else reading or seeing it, not the ones only you would notice. When the timer ends, send it, post it, or submit it. No fifth read-through. Do that once and it feels uncomfortable. Do it 5 times and you'll have 5 real attempts in the world instead of one imaginary masterpiece in your head. That's the entire trade. Discomfort now for reps you can actually build on. Go back to that Notes app. All those unfinished drafts aren't proof you have high standards. They're proof you've been protecting yourself from a judgment that was never as dangerous as it felt. The average person isn't beating you. They're just letting themselves exist in an unfinished state over and over until unfinished turns into good. If you actually watched this and not just skipped to the end, you know the 2 words I used for those small, imperfect attempts that pile up over time. Type them in the comments. Just those 2 words. If you made it this far, you already have them.